Today I'm getting AI to craft 20 different questions to help me look deeper than ever before into my INFP personality type. I'm going to answer 10 in this video, and I will likely do another with the other 10. How might understanding the fluidity of INFP identity help someone embrace their personality more authentically? All right. I don't know if INFPs have a fluid identity in that sense. I mean, I don't know what it's referring to. It's AI, so it comes up with its own ideas sometimes, which is good, I suppose. But I know when I was growing up, my identity was something I was constantly looking for. I would, wear different clothes to see if this fits me. Get a different haircut to see if I like this one, and do this thing, and just pursue different hobbies and interests in order to figure out who I was. And I think that is a massively important aspect of being an INFP. Everybody, all personality types need this, but specifically INFPs, because we have introverted feeling as our dominant function, we need to understand ourselves. Introverted feeling is all about understanding your values, your identity, how much you like or dislike something, and really delving deep into what it means to be you. I call it the soul, as a character, as a part of yourself. And if you don't understand your essence, what makes you up as an INFP, is really difficult to navigate life and to make decisions. And so I think a lot of our process as INFPs, growing up, our hero's journey, if you want to think of it that way, is figuring out who we are. And one problem that comes about is when INFPs think we know 100% who we are, or we're afraid or reluctant to do something that is outside of what we think we are. Like, I'm not that kind of person. Well, maybe, but when you do it, you gain a deeper understanding or a more, I'm thinking of like a statue, like a chiseled outline of your actual identity. And that thing changes. Your identity changes. I was not a father until I became a father, and that was now a label that I have onto my name, right? A foreigner. I was not a foreigner until I moved to Japan, and then I'm a foreigner now. So our identity labels, collect the ones that are important to you, and allow that to shape who you are when it's suiting you, when it's fitting you. But if you don't like a label, don't identify with that. Identify with something else, something more empowering, and move on from there. So that was the first one. Let's see. I hope it was helpful so far. Let's go on to number 2. In what ways does your introverted feeling, FI, influence your decision-making process? And how do you navigate situations where your emotional resonance conflicts with logical choices? I actually made a video about this recently, about introverted feeling and introverted thinking, and how they feel like they clash, but actually they can work together in order to create a more balanced understanding of a topic or of yourself or whatever the thing is that you're exploring. So I'll link it probably over there. So introverted feeling is a judging function. It's a decision-making process, and it's about values. How do we feel about this? And specifically, it's introverted, so it's subjective. How do I feel about this? How is this going to impact me, my identity, the parts of myself? It's intrapersonal harmony seeking, as in looking inside for all the parts and trying to create harmony from there, or seek harmony from there, as opposed to interpersonal, which is extroverted feeling and understanding how everybody else feels about the thing, and proactively assisting and supporting. It's focused on the individual. And it starts with us. It starts with this individual. And if something doesn't resonate with introverted feeling and your identity, and you have to do it for some reason, it feels really, really uncomfortable. It's like, it's almost painful or queasy. Like, it's just like, oh God, I really don't want to do this. And I'm sure you can resonate with looking into your past and saying like, why did I do that thing? That was such a horrible decision. And we really, really latch onto those for a long time. unless we do work around it, and we can take the lessons and we can get rid of the emotional baggage attached to it. But we spend a lot of time trying to make sure that we don't feel that feeling, despite it being, as I just mentioned, something that is important to help us learn about ourselves. And what I've found out is that we have these 8 different cognitive functions. Everybody has 8. We use a couple more than others. They have different roles that they play in our life. But they are all like advisors within our mind. And we become very lopsided, one-sided, if we only focus on the soul, if we only listen to introverted feeling. So it's important to listen to extroverted thinking, the commander. It's about organizing, creating tasks, delegating, managing, marshaling resources, paying attention to the return on investment, those kind of metrics. Our life improves when we have a better relationship with the commander. Same with introverted thinking, the adept. Our life improves when we can be more analytical about things, more logic, more detached emotionally, sometimes. And we can dissect something and say, actually, this makes no sense. Doesn't really matter how I feel about it in this situation. This is the wrong choice. And that's hard. I know it is. I've been through it. But it's really important to understand that we have these different advisors, we have these different perspectives that we can take, and we need to use the ones that are best suited for us. Again, the ones that are serving us the best. If we're doing something that's constantly creating problems in our life because we feel that it's right, we have to assess that and say, like, is it really the right thing for me to do? Or am I irrationally, overly attached to this thing, this result, this sense of identity that it brings about when I connect myself to this act, like politics or just a thing that you like to do. Like if you watch a lot of anime or something like that, you might identify as that, right? And then not doing that, not watching anime, for example, might create this like incongruence where you're like, well, but this is who I am. I used to go to Japanese reggae events all the time. And then I stopped going to them and it felt uncomfortable because I was like, reggae was such a part of who I identified as. It was part of myself. And not doing that, and not playing as many games as I used to play feels uncomfortable because it feels like I'm like losing part of my identity. Like goodbye, and just sending them off. INFPs, as Dario Nardi mentioned in at least one of his books, have this pattern of rediscovering themselves. And I've definitely found that true. It's important to understand who you are and then to move on and then like rediscover those things that used to light you up, made you feel good. And kind of doing them in a different light often. We go through these cycles where we do the same thing, but in a different context perhaps, with a different person, with new perspectives, and things hopefully improve because you're bringing in wisdom from before, right? From this applied information and experience, you're starting to create more wisdom around a thing, and then you do it differently the next time around. Did I answer that question? And so, when you're making a choice, it is important to take in these different perspectives. What would this like science-like character, the adept, do? And what kind of advice would they give? And what would the commander tell me to do? And what would the soul tell me to do? And what would the envoy, extroverted feeling, tell me to do? And getting a more rounded perspective helps you make different choices or helps you make more educated choices. Again, if it's not helping you do what you want in life, then something likely has to change. And it could be a matter of doing introverted feeling and feeling convicted about something that is more refined or is aligned with who you want to become in the future. Does that make sense? All right. Number 3. How has your extroverted intuition and E contributed to your creativity? And can you share an example of when connecting seemingly unrelated ideas led to a breakthrough? Okay, extroverted intuition is a perceiving function. It's how we gather information, learn about the world, and it's intuition, meaning that it's connecting the dots. It's not looking at the actual sensory, tangible thing. It's saying, well, what could that be? What is it connected to? Let me kind of expand out from there, springboard from the sensory world into ideational world. And it's extroverted, so it's about breadth, it's area of effect, AOE focused, it's expansive, it's connecting one thing to another thing to another thing, and how could we use this? It's more like fast-paced, energetic. So it has contributed to my creativity because I found that if I just take something and say, how is this connected to this thing? Like I'm trying to understand, oh God, math better, okay? And I take something else, I take like my microphone case over there, which I can't reach. Ta-da, okay. How is math connected to this? I can say like, well, oh God, I don't know why I picked math. It's the worst thing ever. Maybe like, you know, numbers communicate an idea, like inside the numbers, inside like a formula, there are these different components, which I can't open this because it's probably gonna mess with this. Inside the formula, there are these different components, and if I understand how each component works, then maybe I can understand the formulas better, or how math works better. So in terms of creativity, I found that that has been really helpful. Just taking random ideas, random things, and saying, how is it connected to this in some way? It expands your mind so much, and you just get so many more different ideas, as opposed to just thinking within that one domain or one container. And an example of connecting ideas and how it led to a breakthrough. For me, like this whole geek psychology thing came from that. It came from, I need to understand myself better. I need to understand people better. Well, I play a lot of World of Warcraft. Okay, so maybe people are like different character classes. And then delving into there and expanding, making my own system, and then saying, like, I shared it on Reddit. I shared my ideas on Reddit, which is probably a horrible idea, but I did. And somebody was kind enough to give me a positive response of saying, hey, you should actually look into MBTI and specifically the cognitive functions and look into personality hacker. And so I did that, and I was like, okay, now there's a framework for personality type, which I didn't know about at the time. And I have my own framework over here. So like, how are the cognitive functions connected to character classes, and building on the work that I already created? Like, what are all these different connections? And my mind just went nuts. And I just like was feverishly scribing all day, every day, until I learned it, because I was so excited about it. And that created what was the boss mod, and then became the RPG model, which is about personifying these different cognitive functions and understanding how they work as a fractal within yourself, as well as in other people too. Just exploded everywhere. And that became Path of Heroes Academy, and everything I do and think about all day, every day pretty much. So that is why. You could see, like, as I was just talking about that, I logged on to my Explorer, Extroverted Intuition, because I was just so excited and talking about it, and like I was like bubbly with energy about it. There was a clear delineation, a clear mark of like, I've logged on to the Explorer now. Let's have some fun. Let's be curious and excited about this. Whereas introverted feeling, when I'm talking from there, it's, you know, it's more like this, you know, and leaning in. I would put my hand on my heart if I could. Softer spoken, feeling, like kinesthetically looking for different feelings and words. Whereas the Explorer is like bouncing around over here outside in visual space. It's quite interesting. Number 4, what changes have you noticed in how your tertiary introverted sensing, SI, and inferior extroverted thinking, TE functions have developed as you've matured? Man, these questions. Okay. Introverted sensing is a perceiving function. Okay, so we talked about intuition before. Let's talk about sensing. Sensing is what you can verify with your senses. And it's introverted. So it's capturing sensory experiences and ruminating or mulling over them, reflecting over them, reminiscing about them, and gathering information, gleaming, taking the experiences that you've had and saying what worked, what didn't work, what can I expect here? How can I make the current moment more stable by taking that past knowledge and applying it to now? What's different from now to how it was in the past? And why, maybe, is it that way? What can I expect? Those kind of questions is what introverted sensing, the guardian, often asks. Extroverted thinking is the commander. As I mentioned before, this is about managing tasks, managing people, often delegating, marshaling resources, constructing for progress. So how have they matured? I have a lot that I can say about extroverted thinking, but let me start with introverted sensing because that was first there. So my relationship with the guardian. So the explorer wants freedom, spontaneous excitement. The guardian, introverted sensing, wants to know what to expect, right? So creating habits that maintain my daily experience is really important. The guardian wants to know what to expect. And oftentimes I will latch onto specific foods or actions that maybe are not serving me. I always drink the same coffee. I always eat the same thing. This is the same path that I go to, the train station or whatever. Like the explorer says, why don't you go this way? Why don't you try this thing? Do this other one. And the guardian's kind of like planted their feet, This is the way we do it because this is how we've always done it. Now that's good. Both are good. But the guardian's method is very good when it is applied in a way that is intentional. Now I create a time where I wake up and I work on what is important to me. I have sections of my day that I focus on. That could be a bit of commander stuff too, but it's creating this habit, this routine that when I apply my habits, when I do this thing every day, I emerge, I become the type of person that I want to be. And I think every introverted sensor can understand that statement. The things that you do the most often are who you are becoming. So doing that with intention has been really important for me. Also, the guardian, for most of us INFPs, introverted sensing, has a lot of negative baggage around it. Like, this is why I can't do this thing, because this is what happened in the past. Of course I'm stupid, because this is the thing that I did. This is what happened to me. This is why I'm this way. But I've learned, and I teach this in the I Now Feel Positive INFP Masterclass, that wrapping experiences with gratitude is super important. Finding ways to appreciate it and say that horrible thing happened, but I learned this thing. I learned I'm not going to do this anymore. I learned who not to trust. I learned who to trust. I learned, that I'm going to take different actions so that nobody else needs to go through this horrible experience again. There's a lot of positive lessons that we can learn from everything. And retraining our guardian to look for that. Look for the positive experiences. Look for learnings that you can bring in has been extremely helpful. Also the commander. So the fourth function as a role that it plays within our psyche is the inferior function or aspirational function. I always, at the start, I thought of it like AI, like Buggy, an escort character in a quest. Like you're dragging them through this cave and come on, let's go this way. And they get stuck in rocks and they just bug out, and it's just horrible, a horribly unfun, not fun situation. As I'm trying to bring it on the team, but it wasn't working. And at some point I realized that actually for me now, it's not like that anymore. I've learned how to wield it. I treat it as a maverick now. It's this kind of wild, rebellious character. I want to go this way. This is the direction that the soul wants to go. and the commanders say, no, guys, we got to go this way, But bringing it onto the team, like Raphael from the Ninja Turtles, like saying, come on, man, you're a part of the group. Join us. We need to go this way. How can we do it? Like, help me create the steps to do it. That has been my evolution of my experience with introverted or extroverted thinking. And definitely it's a lot better. And also I've come to appreciate it within myself so I can appreciate it within other people. I have a very good ESTJ friend. At the start, we were not good friends, and now we are. And through him, I've learned so much about extroverted thinking and introverted sensing. And I've been able to see his rise as the stabilizing commander, ESTJ, and how he's created an awesome life for himself and his family. And it's really shown me a lot about myself and my relationship to extroverted thinking and money as well, because money is a resource that extroverted thinking sees. And it's like, well, how can we use money to get more of the things that we want? A lot of INFPs have a negative relationship with money. Might want to look into extroverted thinking about why that is. I gotta go finish my root canal. All right, I'm back. Woohoo! Root canal, woohoo! Okay, so where are we? Number 5. Question number 5. When have you struggled with a major life decision because it didn't emotionally resonate with your values? And how did you ultimately resolve this conflict? When I was living in Nagoya, this was 2007 to 2011, I had the opportunity to work at a men's pub. This is a bar where male staff are bartenders, and usually females come to the bar and buy us drinks, and we hang out, and it's a bartender, but also there's like a relationship dynamic to it. It was very much against my morals, against my values. I did not feel like I wanted to pretend to be nice to people that I didn't really want to be involved with. And certainly I didn't want to do some of the other things that were expected of me. It wasn't a requirement, but maybe you can imagine. Or please don't imagine, but maybe you can understand what I'm talking about. So it was quite difficult for me to work as a bartender and have to do this kind of dance of like seducing the customers who, that's why they came there. I mean, they liked that dynamic. But yeah, it just felt uncomfortable for me. So what I did is I decided to figure out, what are the good things about it? Because I did want to explore that different line of work, okay? And just kind of see what life would be like in that side. And so I did it. And I talked to, I see that my light is like yellow now. And so I did it, and I talked to the customers, and I had a good time. We had a lot of fun. I had my regular customers that would come every time that I was working, and, got to make some very good friends out of it. Some of them still today, I see them on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. So it's kind of nice. It actually turned into me being able to create a dynamic that most other people in Japan especially cannot experience, which is talking to a foreigner, first of all, and being in a friendly situation with them. Like they come and we just kind of hang out and drink and have fun, do karaoke, like karaoke and singing songs and things like that. So it was something that I learned to do, and it taught me that there are good sides to most things. Like, I used to be a headhunter, so I would have to try to recruit people into different banks and things like that. And there were a lot of things that I didn't like about that job, and it felt really shady. But also there was a positive goal at the end, which was, helping somebody get into a better position make more money and into a company or a job that they like more and is more well suited for them, that can help the trajectory of their life. So that kind of back and forth push and pull between, is this the right thing to do? The goal is good, but the mechanics of getting there are uncomfortable. I think a lot of those moments in my life have taught me a lot about myself and the things that I will never do again, the things that I thought I wouldn't like and actually turned out to be okay, or things that I liked. So basically, ultimately, I resolved the conflict by just saying, we'll see what happens. I'm going to learn more about myself in the process anyway, which is a win-win. And, if I'm ever in that kind of circumstance or situation again, I will have experience that can help me navigate it better. Question number 6. What creative outlets have been most effective for channeling your emotional insights? And how has this creative expression shaped your personal growth? I feel that YouTube is a creative outlet for me. That's one of the core reasons why I continue to do it for myself, is because I get to work on how do I express what is going on inside of me in a logical or semi-logical way that other people can understand. And how can I convey my insights, my experiences, so that the other person can actually take that information and likely apply it to themselves, whether it's me kind of covertly supporting them along that way by giving them different insights, which stretches how you think about things, and then you can't go back because you have new connections made. Or if it's actionable steps. Okay, here's the first thing, second thing, third thing that you should do in order to apply this to your life as well. That has been extremely helpful, both emotionally and logically, as well as creatively. And I 100% believe that my life would be completely different if I weren't doing YouTube. If I were, I don't know, or if I wasn't living in Japan, if I wasn't doing this, if I didn't have kids. All these certain things have meshed into me becoming who I am. And I don't think I would have it any other way. So it has definitely shaped who I am, who I think I am, and who I am becoming, and who I thought I was, how I think about my past selves. And in any form, INFPs need some sort of creative expression. You can do it through writing, art, singing, dance, YouTube, whatever it is. Find some way of expressing yourself and expressing what's going on. And likely it's going to be tied to extroverted intuition and some sort of metaphors or analogies, some sort of a little bit zany creative expression. Because you need to do that, as well as that is one of the gifts that our personality type has that we can offer to the world, is depth of understanding of what is going on inside of you in a way that most other people can't do or haven't experienced. And that communicating, this is probably what's going on inside of you, is just such a relief for so many people. Not just INFPs, but other people who did not know that was going on in them. I've talked to many people, like an ENFJ I'm specifically thinking of, who I was talking about parts work. And there's a part of you that's excitable, there's a part of you that's very proactive and wants to help nurture other people. There's a part of you that's really critical of mistakes that you've made, all these things. She had absolutely no idea what I was talking about. It made no sense to her at all. Because that's not how she experienced the world. But I planted that seed. I planted that little seed so that she now can think about it like that. Will she? I don't know. Will she do it soon? Will she do it later? I don't know. But now, I feel that I've done my job. I'm not going to force anybody to think something differently or say this is the way you need to experience life. But this is a potential way. And if it vibes with you, good. As an ENFJ, she can understand what's going on with everybody else, right? But that's a macrocosm of what's going on inside. So she can, in my opinion, probably pretty easily bring that in and say, okay, so just like my friend when they were dealing with this, well, this part of me is like that and they're dealing with this thing. So how would I help them? How would I support them? And then she can have a drastically different relationship to herself. That's super cool. And that is something that INFPs instinctively bring, at least usually that perspective, but that ability of self-understanding. Okay, that one was so long that my computer turned off. Number 7, what childhood challenges related to your INFP traits did you face, and how have these experiences shaped your adult development? Oh God, these questions. All right, so one that I often come back to is when my parents got a divorce. I was 10 years old. I was living in my dream situation. You know, we had a very nice big house, friends all around. I was very outgoing and kooky in that sense. It just, like, everything just felt really nice in that neighborhood. It was a brand new neighborhood, just very good. And then, and I'm not trying to fault them for anything, like, this is just how life happens. But after that happened, I really shut down. And I, often questioned, why am I here in this world? Am I just causing problems for everybody? I contemplated very negative things, and it really just sent me all over the place. I remember, storming out of like science class saying I'm having a bad life, crying in music class, just emotions all over the place, not understanding them, the emotions, as well as myself. And that continued for a very long time, at least until senior year of high school. And then things, I think, got a bit better. So there was one childhood challenge that, maybe not in that same way, but a lot of INFPs experience, is who am I? And a lot of deeply felt emotions that we don't know how to wield in a way that is beneficial for us. It's just like, I feel this, and I have to act on that. I need to be authentic to myself as well as to that emotion, and I don't even know what it is. And in time, with intention, we develop an understanding of that. And we create a deeper sense of, this is who I am. I have conviction around that. This is how I'm meant to show up in the world, how I want to show up in the world, my purpose here. And things progressively get better as we get older, usually. Some of us don't have that realization. Some of us don't learn about personality type, which was a big game changer for me. But that mix of not understanding myself and being put through a bunch of, like, I guess, small t trauma and stuff like that, really just helped me find my direction by knowing what I don't want. I don't want to have this kind of a relationship. I don't want to feel miserable every day anymore and have no energy and not feel inspired. So I'm going to work on creating my life to allow me to do that. And for a lot of us, that comes through putting yourself into new circumstances, especially INFPs, getting into extroverted intuition time of, I'm just going to go see what happens, see what comes out of it. I will be okay. I can acclimate. I can cope. It'll be okay. And just doing that enough until you actually learn that that's the truth, until you come to believe it. Do it until you become it. And you will find that you are way stronger than you thought. And all of those negative experiences from the past and that time that you've spent deeply feeling through things, that was training, that was practice, that was gaining experience and understanding and depth, so that you can do it in a more positive, beneficial way in your future. Not just for yourself, but for your friends, family, community, for the world. And you can really show up as somebody who is making an impact on the world in the way that you want. I know not all of us want to change the world. Some of us just want to, again, be off in that cabin in the woods with our tea and cats or coffee. Not tea and coffee, but like coffee and cats or tea and cats. It's got to be one of the two. Maybe a dog. Okay, I know some of us are dog people. And having that solo life. But still, like, allowing you to show up in the way that you want is what's most important. And that comes through taking the experience that you've gained, just like a video game, getting the XP so that you can level up. You might be like 2 XP away from leveling up. You're so close. And that's what being an INFP, a young INFP, and struggling with a lot of the common stuff has really helped me see. And I know a lot of the memes on the internet are just, INFPs crying and being really soft and squishy. And yes, in many ways that is true, but also it's not everything. Like, I think that we might be some of the strongest people because we've been through so much and we understand so much about what it means to be a human. And we can support endlessly through that once we allow ourselves to get over our own stuff and our patterns that are creating the lives that we are living. Question number 8 from AI, directed to an INFP. How has your approach to balancing idealism and practical realities evolved from your early adulthood to now? I think a lot of us go through this, but when I was younger, like, my imagination was just all over the place. I would just have so much fun imagining the most random things all the time. And that lasted for a long time. I still do it, but I think it's more refined now. Living with an ENFP for a while, we definitely had a lot of extroverted intuition going around. And that was super great, a lot of fun. But in time, I found more of the things that I like. I've focused more on that. I always think of it as like a sandbox. I've got this sandbox over here, self-development, this sandbox over here. That's about it. It's just self-development. I don't know, reading and space and science, like just different interests. And I've just more well-defined those. And so now I can just go in and play in that sandbox, sometimes bring some sand over from this one, some toys over from one box to another, and merge and mix and match and play in that. That's a lot of fun. I don't need to rediscover new exciting things every single day like I used to. I used to just always say, I'm bored, everything's boring. But it was me just not putting myself into fun situations. But that is one way that it has refined, and I've grown into a more mature understanding of myself as an INFP. And one thing that I often say is that the things that you are daydreaming about, the things that you imagine a lot, are signs that, like, this is something that you should explore more. This is a direction that you could go. It's not just fantastical idealist dreaming. It's like all things have to be created in the imagination first, right? So we imagine it, but then we need to learn how to take the actions to do it, and also to how to like stay focused on that. Because once we imagine it, then it kind of loses a lot of its whimsy and fun, and we don't want to do the tangible stuff, like the actual practical work on it. So we imagine something else. Oh, this is great, We get really excited about it. It feels like we're doing work, feels like we're being productive, when we are just falsely assuming progress. And then we distract ourselves with something else, right? But if we can look at that dream and say, like, okay, this is amazing, and keep track of our progress and resell ourselves on doing it every day, resell ourselves on our vision, imagine what could come out of that, who am I helping, who am I hurting by not showing up and being responsible in that. then we can really like lean more into that idealism and that fun and that mystical, magical world that we've created in our mind, and find some way to communicate it with other people too, if that's our goal. Likely it's going to have some impact on somebody else, right? And just finding new ways of playing within that. Like, this didn't work. When I did it like this, it didn't work. Or I didn't feel motivated by it. Well, figure out the way to do that and do more of it so that you can become an expert, a specialist in that one domain. And I reckon you will be a lot happier with life. Question number 9. Can you describe how developing your extroverted thinking in your 30s has changed your approach to goal setting and project completion? I think this AI knows a bit about me. Okay, how I've developed extroverted thinking in my 30s. So in general, when we get older, we start to focus more on the different cognitive functions and develop them more. Not always the case. Some environments don't allow that or encourage it. Some of our experiences don't foster that too, or we blame the outer world for everything and we never actually take responsibility for it. But I have spent a lot of time developing myself in these different areas, the 8 different cognitive functions. I'm not perfect. I haven't made it. I'm not like complete in that sense. But I have learned a lot of things about extroverted thinking, the commander, as I call it, which have helped me in my life. And one of the core things is seeing how other extroverted thinkers, ESTJs, ENTJs, ISTJs, INTJs, how they work, how they do it, and appreciating that and learning from it, taking what they do and finding my own version of it. And a lot of times it's just a more compressed version, more compressed or simpler version. Instead of having this big plan and contingency plans like an extroverted thinker would likely do, it's like I have 3 things on my task list today. Those are my goals. And I'm going to find a way of doing it, and I'm going to have fun while doing it. And then I'm going to reward myself and my commander. Good job, buddy. You did it. And slowly expand from there. If I realize that 3's become easy now, my commander has gotten more experience, and he or she is stronger and better, then I can move on to expanding that. 4 different things, 5 different things. And appreciating that I am showing up for that. Appreciating that the commander is showing up. Having a better relationship with that aspect of myself. Instead of always hating that get things done mentality, seeing that it's actually very helpful. And if I get things done that are connected to my soul, my introverted feeling, my desire to be this kind of person in the world, then my life is going to be better. I'm going to be happier. I'm going to be more motivated. I'm going to make an impact on the world in the way that I want to, and other people are going to benefit from it. And knowing that like the commander, extroverted thinking, doesn't have the same bandwidth or capacity or energy that introverted feeling does, for example, has really shown me that like be motivated, do the things, whatever those are. If I get distracted or tired, go kind of start a different version of that, start a different variation, work on a different part of it, go outside, do something else, shake it off a little bit, come back. Using that perceiver energy, the extroverted intuition energy, has been really helpful. The star power of like getting really excited about something as you're just starting it. Instead of fighting against that and saying, I need to just focus and make sure everything's done and complete and all my T's crossed and my I's dotted. Maybe that's kind of an introverted sensing thing too. But instead of doing that, do what works and find ways of aligning that into your daily actions. So it's really helpful to have somebody explain their process. Like as an INFP, you can listen to how they're thinking and talking about what is going on inside of them so that you can understand more about yourself and your process. And you can say like, that is so similar to me. Or actually, that's not how I do it. And that awareness can help you develop yourself further. And you can click on these 2 videos over here so you can get a deeper dive into what those cognitive functions are and how they manifest in your life so that you can use them to create the life that you want to live.